Hi, this is Dan O'Leary, your Washington Township Supervisor, and I'd like to address a few concerns my opponent Sam Praviti keeps raising. He keeps talking about backdoor land deals, and of course, his purpose is to try to make you think I and the board have somehow tried to slip something by you and do something unethical. So let's just barely expose it all so you can evaluate his credibility versus mine. Let's talk about all the land deals that have been done since I've been in office. There were 4 land deals that were done either through a bid process or through a typical realtor sale. And no one can argue with that, can they? Those 4 deals included a realtor sale where we had bought a condominium from a tax sale and turned around and sold it for 17 times what we paid. I don't think any taxpayer is going to object to us making that kind of money and turning around putting it into sidewalks or that sort of thing, right? The next one is a sale that we had acquired property, I think it was in 2010, for $275,000, and I was roundly criticized for acquiring that property on Jewel Road, 43 acres. We turned around and sold it last year for $1.5 million, a pretty darn good profit, through a bid. Nothing untoward, took a lot of work, we got it done, and I was criticized on both ends of that transaction for whatever reason. You know, there was another land sale on a property on Van Dyke that we sold about an acre or so, and that was done through a bid process. And then there was a 4th one that hasn't closed yet, but we're expecting to sell some acreage on Jewel Road for residential purposes that we're going to get multiples of what we paid for it on tax purchase. So, you know, our bid process, you can't deny it, it's worked out, it's been great. And it's always when you're dealing with non-strategic land, you're just trying to maximize value for the taxpayer, you go through a bid process like that. Okay? But there are more complex situations that don't involve a bid process. And we've tried to do 3 of those, I believe. So, in my term. So let's go through them. We had a restaurant owner who was going to leave town because his lease was up and he couldn't find land anywhere in town with sewer and the right amount of acreage. We happened to have 5 acres at 29 Mile that had sewer. So we said, look, you buy it, you pay fair value, we got it appraised. He was going to pay fair value and he was going to keep jobs and taxable value in our community. That was a strategic targeted sale. We didn't go out for bid. Why? Because we already had a business in town we were trying to retain with jobs and taxable value, and we were getting fair value according to the appraisal. So there was no need to go out for a bid process. It would have been counterproductive. We hit the trifecta by getting the value, the jobs, and the taxable value. So that was a good deal. It was the right thing to do. Strategic decision, a strategic targeted sale. He backed out of it because he wound up working out his lease, but still, we did the right thing by trying. The second one was 3 acres at Powell Road. There was a fellow who owned 10 acres who wants to build an industrial complex, still wants to build that industrial complex. And he negotiated with us to turn around and sell 3 acres because he needed to have a little bit more space for his setbacks and so on to make it work for his industrial complex. Now, that was the right thing to do. Go out to bid on 3 acres in the middle of our industrial section when there was a very specific buyer who had a very specific need, who was going to build something that gives us taxable value and jobs, and he was paying, again, the trifecta, the fair market value of the land per an appraisal. It was the right thing to do. More importantly, as residents, when you create industrial complexes, you're actually helping yourself because those subsidize your taxes. They pay 4 times much in taxes as they generate in costs. So it was the right strategic decision, and that deal went through, and that fellow's designing his site at this point. There was a 3rd deal that was targeted that we didn't go through with because the buyer recently backed out due to the economy and the COVID uncertainty and so on, but it was the exact same deal. Industrial center, industrial part of town, 125 acres right next to his property, and we were going to go and do that negotiated sale and make that happen. He chose not to proceed, so that deal hasn't gone ahead. But it's the same rationale. You get fair value for acreage we bought for $7,500 an acre. We were selling it for $50,000 an acre. Pretty smart deal. Pretty well thought through strategy over the years on why we were going to create that value by building our sewer plant. And so we've been criticized for those 3 targeted sales, like we were doing something wrong. Look, that's the right thing to do what's best for the taxpayer, not what's easiest or the simplest to explain. Okay? Now, he says these were backdoor deals. Every single one of those sales were conducted in a public meeting that was publicized on television in open session. No secrecy. Every single one of those deals was handled that way. So where's the backroom deal? The only time we've done backroom deals, as he says, on land is when we legally could do it because it was appropriate, and that's when you're purchasing. The Open Meetings Act allows us to go in closed session and discuss the purchase of an asset. Why closed session? To protect you. Because if we're going to go out and buy land for a fire station, we don't want everyone knowing where we're going to buy it, because someone will go out and buy it out from under us and then try to sell it to us for more. That would hurt you, the people that are paying for that land. So the Open Meetings Act allows us to discuss those things in closed session, but we have to eventually come out once the deal is signed and let you know about it. Unfortunately, in the example I gave, my opponent actually did disclose that confidential closed session information, but we somehow got through it anyway. So this backroom deal thing, it's a fabrication. It's a fabrication meant to denigrate my reputation and the board's reputation because he's trying to get a job. I'm going to ask you, when you cast your vote August 4th for supervisor, vote for the person who strategically evaluates the situation and does what's best for his community, not the guy that has to bring others down in order to make himself look good. And I also want you to think about, in 4 years in office, name me the accomplishments of my opponent. You won't be able to. But you can think about mine, and they're out there for everyone to see. You like a town that's well run, financially strong, very safe. This is the place to be. Highest home values, 6th lowest tax rate in the county. This is the place to be. So when you hear these stories, these reputation damaging stories, give me a call. My opponent needs a job. That's not a reason for you to change who your leadership is. I look forward to your vote on August 4th. Thank you.